Order assigned. Delivery parameters updated. Time limit set.
Hello everybody, welcome to a special episode of Gamers Addies. Today it is just me. Finished Death Stranding 2 and platinumed it, so I thought I wanted to take some time and talk about my thoughts separate from the podcast. That way I didn't take up more time there. So you won't hear Johnny and you won't hear Elliot, you won't hear us talking about what all we've been playing. But today I wanted to read the review that I published on giantbomb.com. It is also on the GG app if you use that. But I just want to be very clear. I want to be done talking about Death Stranding 2 on my own behalf on the main feed. I know a lot of people probably enjoy hearing me talk whatever the hell about this game. So that's what you're going to get today as a closing point of that chapter. So I'm going to read the review, but while I read the review, I also want to maybe expand in ways that I didn't in the review. So if you remember from the regular episodes, I did say that I waited about a week or two between starting the review and then finishing the review, and then it probably wasn't within but 2 weeks after finishing the review that I platinumed the game. And not that my feelings on it have changed, in fact, they've probably just grown fonder. So let's go. Death Stranding 2, an accomplishment. Spoilers inside. In the history of video game sequels, there will be very few, I think, that touch the level of improvements and enhancements in the way Death Stranding 2 on the beach manages. When the original launched in 2019, the game was a Hideo Kojima walk simulator, with action that didn't feel great and served as an introduction to a very unique and original world. Post-apocalyptic games are everywhere, but none of them were quite like Death Stranding. You'll also have to bear with me, dear listener. Reading on podcasts is not my favorite thing to do, but trust and believe I signed up for this myself, so I will struggle through for you on my behalf. This sequel takes so much of what the original game had accomplished by way of storytelling and found a way to enhance it in several ways. Kojima fans never fully know what they'll be getting themselves into. That proved to be the case in Metal Gear Solid and its 4 sequels, and even more here in this strange new world. While Death Stranding may take place on planet Earth, it's unlike the one we live on in almost every way. Creatures called beach things, BTs, haunt the world and make every step one potentially closer to death. However, Death Stranding 2 doesn't just live in otherworldly horrors designed only for video games. It claims even the ones we hold closest to our hearts. By the end of Episode 1, Lou, the BB you protected and carried through the entirety of the first game, dies. This is where I'm going to go off what I had said and what I typed. This is a fucking hard moment to play through. I think so many of us felt denial, and I know it was hard to watch, specifically as a parent of 2 girls. And I mean, my son's here, but specifically the Lou character is a girl. So being a girl dad, I think, kind of comes with a different amount of emotion and a different level of tender love and care than you might exhibit just normally on a day-to-day basis. So to have this happen not only to a daughter, surrogate daughter at this point, but an infant, like a toddler, I mean, that just makes it even much more devastating. And that based off of who Norman Reedus is as an actor or who Sam Porter Bridges is as a character, he's not necessarily going to emote with all of the feeling and emotion that you might want or expect from this moment. But what came after was the suicide after suicide after suicide attempt, and trying to find ways to combat the feelings as best that he could, in albeit the worst ways. Drinking himself to death, shooting himself, obviously, until he's no longer able to by running out of ammunition. I think this is probably a part of the game where a lot of us can reflect and ask, would we do any different? So, right off the bat, I mean, this game starts firing on cylinders that you would never expect. So, I think from here I was definitely locked in all while still being in denial. So here we go back into it. After years of being hidden away from the things that could harm them both, Sam and Lou had survived. However, one brief moment when Sam gets pulled away to start duty anew, his adopted daughter, the sole reason he continued living, dies. It is here that Death Stranding 2 begins. For a lot of gamers, Joel Miller's murder was spoiled for us before The Last of Us Part 2 even saw the light of day. It is impressive that Lou's death never leaked, while trailers may have signposted it in so many ways. Before the game releases, a person can tell themselves they wouldn't just spoil that, or they wouldn't do that. When it happened, and it being in the world of Death Stranding, it was so easy to revert to denial. There you are. As a parent, it was the only thing I could cling to. So, there you go. Maybe I should have thrown my interstitial in as a poststitial. But I agree with everything that I wrote. That's probably a good thing that I can say that about myself, still a few weeks later. So, jumping on the Joel part, I think the difference here is you played as Joel and you've done a lot of things as Joel and you spent 13 hours as Joel. And obviously there was a lot of trickery, kind of in the same way that Kojima did with Metal Gear Solid 2 Guns of the Patriots. Sorry, Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. And showing Snake in places that he wasn't. So, The Last of Us trailers had done the same thing, and then as it gets closer to and everything gets spoiled, I think the self-gaslighting was a little bit harder at that point because you knew that something was up because it had blown up into be the newsfeed streaming thing that it had become. So here, I think, being completely caught off guard was crazy, and it really does make all of the times that somebody had said, just get to chapter 2, which in a lot of games means like, hey, this is where this could open up. I know a lot of us said that about Death Stranding 1, but instead, no, what it really does is change the context of the fucking story that's about to be told to you. I think, come the end, Sam does find a happy ending. The journey along the way, though, is filled with layers of plot twists, deception, manipulation, and evil. Unlike Metal Gear Solid, which often relied on double or triple crosses, Death Stranding 2 builds so much on top of itself that it'd be so obvious for it to crumble. It sticks the landing, though. While some twists might have been in front of the player the entire time, the emotional weight of them is not lost, nor do they fall flat. While many characters return from the previous games, they have all taken a more hands-on role. Characters who don't return are still made to share a significant external role in what's actively happening as a way to remind you that this team truly does seem as tight as a found family as possible. New characters bear significance too. Those who have played Death Stranding remember cliffhanger scenes or fights and how pivotal they were to the game's plot and the developments of its leading character, Sam Porter Bridges. Sam experiences similar flashbacks from a new character, Neil Vana, and learns, did he say Nirvana? And learns over time the significance Neil has on Sam's journey. Neil serves as part new character and part reminder of a character Hideo Kojima had made in the past. Looking at you, Solid Snake. The introduction of Tomorrow bears so much weight over the story, and so much time is taken to watch her grow and unravel the mystery that she is. Dollman and Rainey serve as welcome additions along with Tarman. Dollman may have the most screen time, literally traveling with Sam, but it's often outmatched by his teammates. So yeah, let's take a moment. So we talked about Lou, who becomes Tomorrow. And I think as obvious as it was, it's kind of one of those things where you want to deny yourself that the most obvious plot twist is the plot twist. But in so many ways here, it does work. And I think it's effective. And in many ways, being Tomorrow's actress, Elle Fanning, just kind of having this level of innocence about her physically, where she kind of has the childlike features already. Embodies this character so well, fish out of water basically, or an unbeached thing. I don't know what we can call her right now. But then to find out the twist is that Neil had also been protecting Tomorrow the whole time. So while we're thinking that the baby is Lou or not Lou or whatever they're trying to set up with this second BB-28, a second BB-28 has hit the towers. So who knows? But I think the way that it all came back around was really fucking beautiful. Because I remember crying too much at this ending, and even my wife was next to me, who was made fun of me for crying at video games. Also had tears coming down her face through parts of this finale. The setup that maybe Tomorrow would be the character of the next Death Stranding, if there is one, going through another plate gate, I think sounds incredibly cool. I love how she has the little glove BT hands that Tomorrow had and has picked up, that Fragile had and has picked up smoking cigarettes, because that's a great habit that anybody should pick up from their parental figure, but whatever. Then you've got Neil, who turns out to be one of the most heartbreaking characters just because of everything that kind of stumbles onto him. It doesn't necessarily feel like he stumbles into anything in what we see, kind of aside from like the Lucy meetup, but there is so much that happens to Neil as a kid that we see. Kind of does a weird little turncoat thing there for a minute, but he's a kid. Like, kids get scared and run away. You kind of can't really hold that against him, even though you want to try. And then, to turn into an adult who's a porter, taking the still mothers from Mexico to the UCA, or the United States. I can't recall which one it is at this point. Leave me alone. And I think the way that this whole story goes between him being tortured and brought back into the job, not necessarily like physically tortured, but more emotionally and mentally tortured, being brought back into the job against his will, and then also trying to have a relationship with Lucy and finding out about Tomorrow or Lou, and then is it not his baby? And the way that this whole story just kind of unravels, I think come the end, was beautiful when you find out that really he was just a protector of Lucy's daughter the entire time. Fragile dying, plot twist that happened. Fragile dying was fucking devastating as well, because you can see from the beginning of the game that she also carries the weight of being the one that failed at protecting Lou, and has tried to find ways to make up for it throughout the entire game, albeit through, codec or hologram calls, but you still understand come the end that everything that she is doing is for Sam and for Lou and the rest of the crew as well. I mean, it's very obvious that this crew is so enamored by one another that they would literally do anything for one another, and I like how that comes through here. It's not like an Avengers Assemble moment. I mean, you do have a few of those in the gameplay, but like it just feels like a family. And, when I talk about characters who are no longer really there, well, there's Lochna, right? There's Lochna and Mama, and then come the scene at the end where they're all in the tar trying to get back to the real world and out of the beach. You see her there present, both sides of the character. And that's kind of fascinating because the only other time that you have interaction with that character is through Charlie. And obviously that's a very short-lived interaction. And of course they continue to talk about the things that she's doing. You just never see it. And here it's like, oh yeah, no, shit, she's present and is definitely a part of this team. The return of Die Hard Man is one of the craziest fucking things that I think anybody will have seen on a video game, aside from maybe Alan Wake 2. But even then, like, that was FMV played over an action scene, so here it's just straight up Kojima weirdness with Tommy Earl Jenkins, which is something to respect. So, next, I guess you have the president, who's not the president, obviously, and he continues on with his weird, very Metal Gear Solid 2 AI calls. Sam, this is the president calling you from my private line. I love how obvious that was every time, but along with everything else in this game, it needed to be said at least twice to ensure, or thrice, or thrice, to ensure that you got the point. So well done, Kojima. You really ensured we did not miss anything this time. I think the plot twists here were actually good. They fit. Higgs is fucking insane. The weird ninja, also a strange choice with Deadman in there for a minute, and then haha, gotcha, it's Higgs, bitch. Like, that was kind of strange, but whatever, I'll take it. While many players come to Hideo Kojima games for the plot, overall game design remains unmatched and without parallel. With Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes and Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, many gamers thought that Kojima and Konami's unceremonious cutting of ties would have been the end of Hideo Kojima's games as players know them. Metal Gear Solid 5 may have been a strange package of two games or a weird departure from the hour-long cutscene-filled games its predecessors were, but there is no denying that the game design and feeling of playing it were amazing. Everything from the sneaking to the shooting felt like it had finally been perfected. When Death Stranding came out, it felt nothing like anything that had come before it. Death Stranding, even the walking part of the walking simulator, genre was unique. Terrain was the enemy and needed to be overcome. Of course, the game found many ways to succeed in traversal, but many of them felt disjointed or were an extra piece of baggage to carry on an already overstuffed journey. The vehicles never really felt great, and combat felt so hefty and often enough the opposite of the point the game was trying to make. So really quick, I do understand now that maybe the director's cut of Death Stranding has made a lot of things that were then transplanted over into this game. As stated on the regular feed, I have not played more of that, so while I understand that some of my points here may be moot made with the director's cut, I am ignoring those points. The first game was sometimes a slog to fight. As stated in the regular episodes, I did not use vehicles that much. I mainly did a lot of walking, and maybe that was on me, but the vehicles never felt good, and oftentimes, still in 2, you find out that the smallest of fucking rocks can be the biggest of fucking problems that make your cargo or your truck flash red because everything inside got fucked up by a little pebble. So there is that. That still does exist, but I don't think it ever hindered me in a way from wanting to continue to use them, mainly because this world is so big, nor did I have the time to walk it. We'll talk about that in the platinum area. So many complaints were connected, corrected with Death Stranding 2. Combat felt better, driving felt better, and the active traversal was not as weighty. Yes, tripping over a rock is still possible, however the game offers up roads and vehicles much sooner, making even the challenge of walking overridden by 2 or 4 wheels. See previous state. Combat feels like it was a singular point of improvement. Guns feel better, while much of it is the same camp clearing or sneaking of the first game. These encounters feel closer to where Kojima's studio would have left off with Metal Gear Solid. A lot of Death Stranding 2's point of development is dropping the rope and taking the stick, and the success of developing the stick to be a viable solution makes the implementation of improvements so satisfying. Right, so okay, there's a lot of weapons in this game, and they're still all pretty basic. Like, you've got your grenades, you've got your shotguns, you've got your pistols, you've got a trank sniper rifle, you've got an assault rifle and a machine gun, and various rocket launchers and grenade launchers. But like, they actually felt good to use this time. Like, they felt fun, and I think obviously the fact that they're multi-purpose bullets or rubber bullets makes them, multi-use. So it wasn't just like what I remember, at least, right? And trust me, or like, don't trust me. Remember, this was from 2019, but you had guns that you never really wanted to use because you didn't want to kill anybody, so you're kind of like bola gunning and stranding, and then you've got your blood grenades. Like, none of it ever really felt that good together, and I think here, like, the merriment of all the things that you could do made everything so fucking fun. Like, this did feel more like the Phantom Pain than I think any of us would have ever expected. Clearing camps and actually being able to stealth full camps was such a fucking experience that a stealth guy like me kind of felt rewarded for being able to do. And instead of like the exclamation point sound or like the alert sound, like you kind of just get this rush, and you get the music, and you get obviously like another visual and audible indicator. But I think all of that just enhanced this experience so much, and it made it feel like I was playing a game by one of my favorite creators. I guess real quick. Yeah, I know this isn't all Kojima's doing. It's very obvious that it's not all Kojima's doing. This wasn't the absolute mess of a plot, and it's not like this weird sandpaper experience. So you can definitely see that he had a lot of help this time. And whether it was his fellow developers and those that work under him, or just kind of like taking all the feedback from the industry and just saying, okay, well, what if I did this again? But what if I did it better in a way that I want to do it, but what if I also do a little bit for the fans? That's kind of how a lot of Death Stranding 2 feels like, and it really shows in the gameplay. My singular complaint with this game lies in the BT encounters. These encounters slow so much down, and one wrong step could ruin everything. These encounters and their almost survival horror like made the feeling of powerless significant, if only because every step on the eggshell had the potential to bring the movement to a halt and cause an uptick in panic. Most of the time, the encounters never felt fair. So I think a lot of us have an apprehension for the BTs, right? Like, as we should. They cause void outs, they cause damage, they slow everything down, they're fucking terrifying. But I think, like, with the gazers and a little big guy that comes out, like, I'm probably wrong on the names, that's fine. Like a little big dude that pops out that looks like something out of Thor, terrifying. But like, when you don't really have a viable way to get away from them, like, I think the terrifying factor of it just kind of becomes annoying, where it's like, I have a handicap, so of course you're going to win. And that doesn't really feel good as a gamer. Like, I play, Dark Souls and Elden Ring and just recently finished Hollow Knight. So, like, to play those games and then have that experience here, it's not really a thing that meshes well to me. So, but I mean, like, I know I'm not the only one that has complaints about BTs. I think they're very cool. I think their designs are very cool. I think when it doesn't necessarily slow everything down to a halt, it's also really cool, like being the big vehicle guy in this one. It kind of just annoyed me because it's like I have to get out of my vehicle and maybe fight these guys or just drive around them. Like, that's kind of annoying to me. But I think, like, a lot of the set pieces, like the actual scripted set pieces, were really well done. Like going into factories and it's like, oh shit, there's a BT here. Doing the Mr. Impossible things later where it's like, okay, I can turn on the Cupid, but they're still there. So I don't know, like their boss fights are still great. I mean, being able to summon a BT was cool as shit. Like Pokemon BT, fucking give me that game. I get, like, even if it's an RPG, you just do the same thing that Expedition 33 did and make it good. I don't know, but I would definitely go for something more of that gameplay. Another notable improvement is the visuals. Death Stranding was a visually striking game, as its world lived in tar and had an otherworldly feel to a planet most familiar. To see Sam or Sam's vehicles and cargo weather with each storm by way of rust and grime, or just seeing the accumulation of blood or tar following an enemy encounter, is impressive tech in its own right. However, the near photorealistic characters make the cutscenes feel grounded in a way that one would experience watching any live-action movie at the cinema. Really, most video games don't look like this. While most of the time was spent in performance mode, it was a better experience than most performance modes available. So I tried quality mode for like 5 seconds. I think I did it over by the Inventor. And that's like all water and shit, and it's like water and beach and water and beach. Just made the game chug. Like, it didn't look good. Well, it looked good, sure. Like, it didn't feel good. It felt incredibly disjointed. So I think if you can, and especially if you have that PlayStation 5 Pro, like, and you can get the pisser tech in there, go ahead and do that. Like, that's 100% going to be the way to play this. But like 10 out of 10 visuals here. The way everything looked. If you want to log on to Giant Bomb, there's screenshots that I've taken throughout this game. I know that Johnny has like hella fucking screenshots from this game just because it's like so beautiful. And in the same way that Metal Gear Solid, like, it has a lot of just film-like visuals and the way that things can be framed, or like the way that color pops, or the way that he can kind of focus on something. Like, he's always known how to want to choreograph a scene, and I can't wait to see like everything that he's done further transplant itself into basically who he's mentoring now, his mentees, obviously, and see what comes of that, because it is a very visual flair that Kojima has and all of his games have. And I really want to know sometimes, like, obviously he's not storyboarding everything or anything like that, so like, who does do this? Like, who does help with that? And sure, it's in the credits, but like, I want to see this person flourish because their design is insane. All right, in closing for the review here, and I'm not done rambling, so you'll have to bear with me because a point that I make here is already gone. While this review may have been started weeks ago now, there is nothing that has ruined any feelings for this game. This is a 10 out of 10, or a 5 out of 5, or A+ rating, no matter what scale it is. To have a world that has continued to have a driving factor, like trophies, to make the experience all the more whole is okay. Killing bigger BTs or delivering to 5 stars continued to be a good time. The hope for a platinum trophy may only be ruined by getting 5 stars for every prepper, which then may only be ruined by time required. It wasn't. As a dad, too much time. It wasn't. It was. Aside from that, this game is a mental platinum game. Well, okay, so as I said, I have gotten the platinum trophy for this game. I have learned the secret about the Ghost Hunter. I have gone and fought the beast at Tar Lake. What else have I done? I prevented the Void Out at Terminal Knot City. I've 5-starred everybody. I got the one that I kept talking about on the podcast, right? Like the one where you have to get like 10 S's for each delivery type. So what I had to do there was like try and figure out what type. Okay, so I know I've already done a lot of recoveries. I know I've already done a lot of deliveries, obviously. The ones that I had left was either like a destroy or eliminate. And I went back and looked at the orders. So if you're in the order view in the menu, you can search then by type or by person or by completion status, by location. Obviously, a lot of this is Australia. So I just went to like elimination and demolition. And I noticed that on elimination, I had a few of them that weren't S's, because your boy got shot a lot. So what I did was go to, the F2 maybe, and that guy's always got a few of them. I thought I had done them, so of course they keep like respawning. So he had two, and it was two separate camps, and they were both eliminated. So I went super fucking stealthy, and I was super fucking scared because it's like I've got to nail one or both of these. So instead, I definitely nailed both of them. Took a lot of patience. Kind of pulled up in the car, would wipe out part of the camp, get back in the car. You don't want them destroying your car, right? So I got back in the car, pulled forward a little bit more, would get to like the next area I could stealth through, cleared them out, went back around. Very cool shit. After I finished that popped. I do believe that it was the last achievement that I needed, but I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure at that point I had everybody else. No, I didn't. Mr. Impossible's last mission, I think the ones that like the preppers that you find towards the end of the game has some of the most cool missions that you can pick up, the orders that you can pick up as you get farther and farther through each star. So, right, like I've already complained on the main feed. The fucking adventure, you really have to go pick up too many times. It's kind of annoying. I definitely Skyrim horsed my way up a mountain, I think at least twice for this son of a bitch. But it was worth it just because a little bit of Skyrim in my life goes a long way when it comes to jumping up mountains, this time just in a truck. Very good stuff. The way that his adventure closes, I think, is very cool. I don't want to spoil too much, but when you do get as close to that 5th star, he, of course, does go missing. And there's a location and reference in the trophies that it wants you to go to. So don't do what I did and go there first. Just trust and believe that you will instead be taken to where that void out crater is if you finish the adventurer. Because if you do, it's also the same BT fight that you'll have the first time that you walked out there. So spare yourself, 5 minutes on a fucking tar casket, whatever the hell they're called anymore. Guys, it's been a couple weeks, I'm sorry. So next, though, the one that I finished before the adventurer was Mr. Impossible. And Mr. Impossible's final mission is a timed 45-minute run around the map to every fucking enemy camp to collect something. And while this might sound stupid and lame, I jumped on one of those tar... Oh, man. You know what? I'm going to look it up. Of course, it's called something so simply stupid that I would forget. The coffin board. I started this mission on the coffin board to get from the Mr. Impossible to the base over by the government. And then it just leads from there. But guess what, guys? Like, these things are so fucking huge that sooner or later you're going to have to pivot. So at one of these camps, because I didn't bring my truck, I took one of their trucks. Or no, sorry, I stopped at one of the bases. I made a truck. Then I got to the base and they got so close to destroying my truck with their harpoons and grenades, like we're fucking shark hunting, and grenades, that I couldn't even move that car for 3 minutes of time. And remember, this is a time mission, so I already picked up what I needed to pick up, but then had to do crowd control for my vehicle's sake for a good couple minutes on top of that. So then you go around the rest of the map, right? I got so close, and trust me when I say that I was shitting my pants. I was using every method of travel I could. I did the coffin board, right? I jumped in a truck. I used a mule truck for a minute, I think. And then I started using the fucking monorails, monorail from the terminal knot up to F5 by the tar lake, and then created another vehicle so I could just fucking zoom over to Mr. Impossible. Good fucking shit. I think that was a great way to bring in all of the elements of this video game into what felt like to me a closer, because obviously at that point it was. So none of this ever really deterred me from enjoying my time with the game. I finished every road with the help of everybody, thank you. Finished the monorails. I started getting to the point where I needed to upgrade roads. Overall, this is a fucking magical experience. And I'm so glad that I went for the platinum. I'm so glad that I've, stuck through in the ways that I never actually offered to the first game, because I am a big, like, finish, delete. Like, I rarely want to continue on with games. The second that I'm done with them, I delete them. I did the same thing here after I got the platinum. Sooner or later, I'll find time to try and give back to the director's cut, Death Stranding 1. It's just not right now. Like I said, I just finished Hollow Knight and put in probably an additional 15 to 20 hours from wherever I left off last time in a very short period of time. So I'm really not sure yet how I feel about immediately diving into Silksong. Like, again, it's not going to be the same amount of time. My platinum time come the end of Death Stranding 2 was about 110 hours. So it's not a short experience, overall a fucking great. So I recommend, if you have second guesses about that platinum, or if you think maybe it's going to be too much, baby girl, it is. And baby boy, trust me, you can survive this. So, not to leave out the baby NBs, but I believe in you and you can do it. And for the love of fuck, just keep on keeping on.